Good afternoon, Pointer Nation, and welcome to a special live episode of the Sports Hub. Hello. Whoa, boy.
Hey.
There we go. We're finally getting it out. Technical difficulties. Hello. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Special live episode of Sports Hub. We're going to talk about a lot of things today, including we're going to do some Pointers sports, including the volleyball and hockey team. We're going to briefly cover the football team. Then we're going to move on to Badgers football and Jordan Love's first start. So we're going to do that right when we come back from this break. Welcome back to the Sports Hub. Lady Pointer volleyball team, they're all set up for the NCAA tournament run now with a final record of 26-7, and now they face Bethel University. Ashton, we were talking about it a little bit. They are 1-1 record against them. I believe they're the 4th seed in the bracket so far. So they kind of hit a little bit of a slower end to the season. They had that nice 13-game win streak, but ever since they've been playing the higher competition, they've really kind of struggled in a bit.
Yeah, that's definitely true, but I feel like after that huge win streak, it did have to end, and I feel like that we're going to hit a bit of a slow streak, but I feel like they ended the season quite well, actually. Ended with a 5-game win streak, moved on to the WIAC bracket, beat Platteville 3-0, and then they then played Whitewater and did lose to that. But Whitewater is a very, very good team, and we're a very good team as well. So I think now we just gotta focus on the NCAA tournament now and how big that is. We're playing against Bethel. Like you said earlier, we're 1-1 against them, and I think this is going to be a good testament on how the tournament's going to go from this match.
And in any kind of one and done scenario, there's always that kind of sense of urgency that you need to be on your best game because one loss and you're out.
Absolutely.
So, we were talking about it a few shows ago that they need to potentially do load management, and hopefully, they got a nice run. They obviously didn't win their conference tournament. They would have liked to do that, but they put themselves in position to set up for a long run. But how does a team sustain themselves going through a one and done situation? Because there can be some panic in there.
Oh, yeah, it's tough because like you said, you have to be on your A game. Otherwise, it is the one and done. But you look at them going towards the end of the season. They kind of had some bumps and bruises, but that's kind of like how the Brewers were too. They ended the year pretty bad, and then look what happened to the playoffs for them. So you don't want that to happen in this situation either.
In fairness, the Brewers did lose to the eventual World Series.
Right.
Atlanta Braves, but you are correct. You don't want to have a losing streak to go. I think another point of emphasis is just try. Even though they lost 3-0 to Whitewater, being competitive with them.
Yeah.
And Whitewater is one of the top teams in the nation.
Oh yeah.
And so being able to compete with that, I think, is really beneficial for them. The Pointers men's hockey team will return home after splitting a Minnesota road trip 1-1 with a win against Gustav Adolphus College and a loss to the College of St. Scholastia. With a 2-2 record, the Pointers find themselves in 4th place in the WIAC behind UW River Falls, Northland, and UW Superior. So guys, this team came into the season with very high expectations. Finished the season last year ranked number 9 in the country. And we're expected to be one of the best teams in the country. Granted, it is early this season, but a lot of that outside noise potentially dangerous and gotten them off their track.
You could definitely say that could happen. Extremely high expectations and all that. But we always got to remember that the volleyball team also started the girls volleyball team started off the season 2-2 and well, and look what they're at now. Yeah, but I think we were talking about this a little bit before the show, and Carson, I think you said the Pointers power play has been really, really terrible.
0 for 7 on that power play.
Yeah, so I feel like that's something they definitely need to focus on. Is the power play is absolutely crucial when it comes to scoring. So I feel like that's something they gotta work on if they want to make that big run like the volleyball team did.
No, absolutely. And then we talked about, like you said, the 0 for 7 on power play. That's not a good statistic to be in.
No.
Because whenever you have the man advantage and you're unable to get anything from that, it's bad. So What do you think they can do to kind of right the ship on that? Because, I mean, turnovers in the offensive zone and just poor defensive play, how do they get the power play back?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they just got to get some goals going on because, they have 8 goals, I believe, this season is what I saw on 106 shots. So that's not really good statistics. So, I mean, if we can get the offense moving a little bit better, try to find some rhythm, I think that might be where the hope work on that power play.
I think defensively, though, goaltenders have played relatively well after the first 2 games, giving up 3 and 4 goals a game. It was a little bit of a rough start, but lately they've gotten back on track, only giving up 2 and 1 goal a game. So goalie position was a little iffy at the beginning of the season. There's the talented freshman goalie, but then they also have the veteran juniors, so they definitely have upperclassmen leadership to the team that you would think they should be able to bounce back. And they have a game, I believe, this Friday.
Yes,
it'll be in Point in Willett Arena.
Yep.
Against, I believe,
it's against St. John's.
St. John's University. So it should be a good game. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll discuss the Wisconsin Badgers football turnaround. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that. And it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
Wisconsin Badgers football was 1-3, and the 20 straight bowl appearance streak was seemingly in jeopardy. Since that point, the Badgers have won 5 straight and clinched their 20th consecutive bowl appearance. Not only that, but they've looked like the team to beat in the Big Ten West. Through this 5-game win streak, the Badgers have played a well-rounded game with solid offensive attack and elite defense. Through the past 5 games, Badgers defense is only allowing 7.5 points a game and are seemingly impossible to run on. So guys, I'll bring up to the point. What do you think was the biggest thing that contributed to the Badgers turnaround so far?
Yeah, so I know in past Sports Hub episodes, me and Will, you were talking that I was a big pessimist when it came to this Wisconsin Badgers team. I thought they looked really, really rough. They just overall looked really lost and did not look good. Since then, I think the biggest factor has been the defense. As we know, as most of the country knows, the Wisconsin Badgers defense is ranked top 3 in the nation, and I think they're ranked 2nd.
Statistically, they're the number 1 defense.
Yeah, statistically, they're number 1. So that defense has played a huge part. But another really big part as well is the run game as well. When you aren't forcing Mertz to throw the ball, the Badgers seem to do much better. When you have that very strong run game, they seem to do a whole lot better. Then Mertz can still throw the ball, and he's done not bad with that. He had a really good game on last Saturday against Rutgers in that absolute stomping of them.
Right.
So I think it's just the defense have given the Badgers a newfound confidence that they can do really well. And like you said, they made they're bowl eligible for the 20th straight year, which only 2 other colleges can say they have.
And I think, there's been a lot of chaos so far this year in the Big Ten football. And a big wins for the Badgers are against Purdue, who they just beat number 3 Michigan State, the then highest ranked team. We're going to assume they're going to go down.
And Purdue also beat Iowa when they were 2nd earlier.
That's true. If I'm correct, the new AP poll just came out, and Michigan State's now ranked 8th.
So when it comes to, I did a little breakdown on the College Football Playoff Committee, their last rankings. I don't expect them to fall that far, you wouldn't think. They'll definitely fall out of the top 4, that's for sure. But, I mean, let's go back to Wisconsin, though. These past 5 games that they've played, Mertz's stats aren't outstanding, but when you watch the game individually, I think he's definitely been better, and he's been turning the ball over less. He had the 1 pick against Rutgers that wasn't great, but he bounced back. He threw 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards. He had a good game. Braylon Allen had a good game. Just one cause for concern is Ches Malusi kind of banged himself up, and hopefully he'll be able to play against Northwestern, but you look ahead. So Wisconsin's path is clear. You win your remaining games, you're going to win the West. You're going to win the. You're going to you'll go to the Big Ten championship.
There you go.
A chance to win the Big Ten there, but if you guys had to say their chances, or because I believe they played 2 more home games against Northwestern and Nebraska,
Yes.
and then they head to Minnesota for the Paul Bunyan's Axe Trophy.
Yep.
What would you say is most likely the outcome of this remaining schedule?
I'd say either 2-1 with possibly a loss to either Nebraska or Minnesota, or I could see them winning outright on it. So
I think
because Nebraska took Ohio State to the limit this past week and only lose it by 9.
Nebraska they're a 3-7 team, but they are much, much better than what their record says. I agree with that.
Yeah, I think they're going to win out, personally. I think the thing with this Wisconsin defense that they have is that you don't even need to play a good offense. You just need to have an average offense, and you are going to be a very, very good team. Northwestern is going to go really well, because we're at home and we're playing against Northwestern.
Northwestern hasn't.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood here. Then you got Nebraska, and like you said, Nebraska really did take Ohio State to the limit. But I think with this Wisconsin team, they can beat them. And then Minnesota's definitely the one, is going to be the iffy one, the one that some ESPN statisticians have said, this could go in either way.
I do agree with you, though, that the Nebraska game is a sneaky game. Because if it was in Lincoln, I would honestly probably lean towards Nebraska with that insane fan base. But because it's in Madison, I would tend to lean towards the Badgers in that way. But I could totally see, you're right, 2-1.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, too, with their win over both Purdue and Iowa, I mean, you don't want to lose a game, but there's a scenario where you could still lose a game and win the division. You don't want to do that. You want to win out. You want to set yourself up for a position to get to a big bowl game. And I think it's funny, after a 1-3 start, there's a chance they could theoretically be 11-3 by the season's end. It's a great turnaround, that's for sure. When we come back, Jordan Love started his first ever NFL game in Arrowhead Stadium against the Chiefs Sunday. We'll tell you how you did. Special teams miscues. That's the story of Jordan Love's first ever NFL start. Missed field goal, blocked field goal, muffed punt, and the Packers just put him on a bind all afternoon. Regarding Love's first start, in all fairness, he played okay. First ever start, he went 19 for 34, threw 190 yards, 1 touchdown, but that 1 interception. Statistically, he played a better game than Patrick Mahomes did. One positive thing, as well as the defense, played elite, only allowing 13 points in the loss. It came down to who had the most experience in the quarterback position, and Mahomes just able to pull away in the late seconds. So guys, I'm curious, I'll start with you, Carson. What were your takeaways from yesterday's games of Jordan Love? Because he certainly wasn't great, but he wasn't bad either.
Right. I mean, it's pretty much what you want in a rookie, well, not rookie, but first start. You don't want to ask too much of him, but I don't think he played too bad. I mean, you had that touchdown at the end, which kind of helped the stat line look a little bit better, and that pick wasn't that bad either. I mean, you got to throw a jump ball to I think it was to Devontae.
It was to Devontae down the sideline.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think he played too bad.
And all things considered too, how well the defense was playing. Obviously, you don't want to throw an interception, but you're a little bit more okay with throwing that 50-50 ball. Let your wide receiver go down if they're going to catch the ball at the 3-yard line with how well that defense played yesterday. I mean, it comes down to those missed field goals really decided that game.
Yeah.
If you make those, it's a tie football game. Jordan Love, to me, really looked like he kind of settled down in the second half more.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what your perspective is.
So I agree. I think there's a couple things we need to talk about when we're talking about this game. the first thing we need to talk about is, of course, special teams, and we all know how bad the special teams did. They did really terrible. They really did terrible. In the first, it really looked like in the first half they just didn't know what to do. Of course, you had there's a couple of iffy punt situations. One of them, of course, was a muffed punt, and the other one they were able to get back, but it was still pretty rough. And then you had the second factor is that you're in Arrowhead against Kansas City. No matter how bad the Chiefs team are, Arrowhead's a really, really tough place to play in, one of the loudest stadiums in the NFL. And for you to make your first ever NFL start there, that's hard, and as we tell you, it probably got to him in the first half. Now, as Carson said, he looked like he settled in the second half, and he really did pretty good for a first NFL start. Like I said, 190 yards, 19 for 34, a touchdown interception. That touchdown at the end, I really do think that it's going to help out his confidence, because it did really make this a pretty close game, and they could have possibly made the comeback if the defense held and was able to give another shot. But I think this isn't a bad game to really look at.
Right, and I don't think it's a game that a lot of these so-called experts are going to hold against the Packers. One, because everybody knows, and they even alluded to it, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman said if Aaron Rodgers was in this game, the outcome would have been different.
Yeah.
They said they asked Patrick Mahomes, they said it's a bummer that Patrick Mahomes didn't play, and then he said he's probably a little happier that Rodgers didn't play.
Yeah.
But also, the Chiefs, they were bringing pressure almost every single play right in Jordan Love's face.
Yeah, because he looked very uncomfortable in the first half.
And also, you don't want to put blame on people, but
Right.
the offensive line did not give him that great of pass protection.
No, and I think another thing that the offensive line didn't do is they really did not help out the run game, honestly. One of the things that people are saying that if they're going to want a pretty good game, they're going to need to get the run game going, and they just kind of didn't do that. There wasn't really much offense from either team, honestly. It was just
a defensive battle.
It was the defensive
that's
battle.
really
Which is something you don't expect from these two defenses.
Exactly.
Not something you expect to see in the NFL anymore in a pro league.
But-
it's more people just throwing the ball over the place.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Having a 13-7 score in the modern NFL is a pretty rare commodity. But thinking ahead for the future, I think, honestly, Jordan Love isn't going to be bad. We're not expecting him to be the next Aaron Rodgers. I don't think very many people can be the next Aaron Rodgers. No. But we're expecting him just to use these games as an experience, and hopefully he'll just be better next time.
I think it's also important to note that the Arizona Cardinals also played this past weekend. The Packers previously beat them to put themselves in the number 1 seed in the NFC. Of course, they lost yesterday. I believe they're in the second spot. They'll be tied with the Rams, who got manhandled yesterday by the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
But this NFC, man, it's going to be tough. Dallas is up there, even though they got manhandled yesterday by Denver. Dak did come back, so it's first game back in a while. So this NFC, man, it is.
And you got the reigning Super Bowl champs yet in there, Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa. It's rough.
Of all the teams that I personally would be afraid of, team with Tom Brady on it would be number 1. Just by what he did last year. Everybody counted him out, goes on the road every single playoff game, and then gets a home game in the Super Bowl and wins it. It's just the Packers, the defense yesterday really showed me that they have a chance to put themselves in position to get to the Super Bowl with how well they played yesterday. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, the way their offense is struggling, yes, is bad, but still Patrick Mahomes. He obviously had that freak play to end the game, but they played well, all things considered, really.
Yep.
Packers will be back home this Sunday where they will be taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Head coach Matt LaFleur said that if Aaron Rodgers is available for the game, he will be the starter for next weekend game. That'll do it for today's special live episode of the Sports Hub. Make sure you check in next week for more updates on everything sports. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.